All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back, and we're back with another video. This one a request video. This is part two of my Pink Floyd collection. You can check out part one. So this is part two as we get into the solo years of the band members. But interesting, the surviving Pink Floyd members have actually been in the news this month. Just a few days ago, on Monday, Roger Waters participated in the Eric Clapton and Friends tribute to the late great Ginger Baker. Roger Waters did a few songs with Eric Clapton, and yeah, it sounds like it was an amazing concert on Monday. And later this month, David Gilmour will be participating in the Mick Fleetwood tribute to Peter Green. I think that's coming up February 25th, if I got the date right. Again, that's going to be an amazing concert, certainly as well. And Nick Mason, who continues to perform with his band Saucerful of Secrets, they've announced that they have a live album out called Live at the Roundhouse. So certainly look forward to that, as Nick Mason's been performing the early Pink Floyd stuff like the Syd Barrett years and sort of pre-metal, that sort of thing. So yeah, look forward to that as well. Okay, so this is part two. First off, I left a few things off my last Pink Floyd part one video, a few things that got overlooked, and I'm kicking myself right off the bat. I cannot believe that I left off The Endless River, Pink Floyd's last studio album. This is the CD box. Overall, I really like this. I know some people don't really care for this. I know it's mainly an instrumental album, with the exception of the last track, Louder Than Words. But overall, it's great morning music. I think if this is the wrap up to Pink Floyd, I think it's a nice way to end it on. Overall, I think it's a lovely lovely album. So without going into too much, detail, this is the CD box set. My only quibble with this, I mean, it's nicely packaged and everything, but the bonus tracks on this are only available on the DVD audio. They're not available on the CD. So if you want to hear the bonus tracks, you have to listen to it from the DVD. However, if you stream the album, they include the bonus tracks. You'd be able to hear the whole album plus the bonus tracks. But on the box set, or this set, the extra songs are only available on the DVD audio. And I think they probably had enough room on the CD. And even if they didn't have enough room, just put it on another CD, that sort of thing. But a lovely little box set overall, with a nice little booklet. And again, just a lovely tribute to Richard Wright. Yeah, so there's that, and they include some kind of neat little postcards in here. Sort of a, I don't know if you're able to see that, kind of a 3D effect with that one. Kind of ode to the Division Bell there, and then David Gilmour and Nick Mason. There you go, and it's simply housed inside like that, and the CD and DVDs are simply in that. And there you go. Okay, so that's The Endless River, what could be, well, the last Pink Floyd studio album. I can't believe I left this off. This is the Wall. Is There Anybody Out There? The Wall Live, Pink Floyd, 1980 to 1981. So this was one of the few performances that they actually did of The Wall at the time when they did the album. They did only a few shows for the Wall tour, and this one is largely the Earl's Court shows in London. And I think this is quite the definitive performance and presentation of The Wall. One of the things was nicely recorded. It's a really nice sound overall. And in this performance, they give you the full length version of Empty Spaces. You'll notice on The Wall that there's extra lyrics on Empty Spaces. They cut a good chunk of that song, putting it on the album. Most of that song, or at least the whole song, was included on the Wall movie and in these performances as well. So all those extra lyrics, there's quite a number of lines of lyrics. That song is included in this performance. And overall, I really do think this is a definitive presentation of the Wall. Again, this is just a nice little double CD set. It's just the Wall in concert, and lots of information, lots of photos and things like that. But yeah, really definitive. I'm really surprised. As far as I know, this has not been released on vinyl, and this would be a major contender for a vinyl reissue. I think so anyway. And also a Pink Floyd soundtrack, at least they're included on this soundtrack. I didn't present it on the last one. We're talking about the movie Brisky Point, if I'm pronouncing that properly. And sometimes I think Floyd fans kind of forget Floyd's inclusion on this soundtrack. This film came out in 1970. It's an unusual sort of period piece kind of film, but Pink Floyd have at least 3 tracks on here. Heartbeat Pigmeat, also Crumbling Land, and Come In number 51, Your Time Is Up, which is basically a re-recorded version of Careful With That Axe, Eugene. So Brisky Point, and this is the soundtrack. And it's interesting, even still at this point, they were being referred to as the Pink Floyd. And this was out on the MGM label. And there we go. And I did pick up the CD version of this movie because on the CD version, it's a double disc set. So they give you extra tracks, what they describe as outtakes, but it includes 4 extra Pink Floyd songs. Only found on this for the most part. Country Song, Unknown Song, Love Scene version number 6, and Love Scene version number 4. So there you go. And it's a nice soundtrack too. It's a really nice kind of trippy soundtrack. Because also included on here is the Grateful Dead, the Youngbloods, Jerry Garcia. It's a nice soundtrack overall. So Brisky Point from 1970. And one other Pink Floyd, I wasn't able to find this for the first video. It's another copy I have of Dark Side of the Moon. This is a 180 gram heavyweight vinyl issue. Dark Side of the Moon original packages includes the stickers and the posters, that sort of thing. But this actually comes off the cover. This is just it's like just stuck on the cover like that. You can easily peel it off, but I've left it on because I think it looks kind of different. And I like the way it lines up perfectly. We've all, we're familiar with the cover. We know what it looks like, but I just thought, well, I think I'll leave it on. It makes it, kind of look a little different, a little special. So Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, an absolute classic. Okay, we'll just put that over there. So let's get to the solo stuff, shall we? Let's start off with Syd Barrett. This may be a surprise. This is the only Syd Barrett I have in my collection. Don't know why. I need to get some more Syd Barrett. I don't have any of his actual solo albums, but I have this introduction to Syd Barrett. David Gilmour had put this together, and it's a nice overview of Pink Floyd and Syd Barrett material. Nice artwork. Just a single CD set, but overall really enjoyable. But I have to get some Syd Barrett for sure. Okay, let's carry on with Roger Waters. First off, I have what is largely Roger Waters' first solo album. I know his first solo album was actually from 1970, which was The Music from the Body, a soundtrack. But for all intents and purposes, Roger Waters' first solo album, The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, featuring the guitar work of Eric Clapton. Now, as you can see, this is the edited cover on the CD, but I did pick it up with the unedited cover that I'll edit manually for you. And I do also have that on vinyl that I picked up not too long ago. And when I picked this one up on vinyl, it said it included the booklet. And I thought, well, I don't remember booklet with regards to this album. Of course, it has the lyrics on the inner sleeve like that. And Eric Clapton does some really nice guitar work on this album overall. But the booklet is actually the tour program. And I remember it was a friend of mine who actually saw the show back at the time. So I have actually seen this, but it was like, wow, how cool is that to get the actual tour program from the pros and cons of hitchhiking. And again, I won't spend because we've got fair bit to get through, but in case you haven't seen this, of course, includes great artwork. And at the time, the first half was Pink Floyd music, as done by Roger Waters, and then the second half was the pros and cons of hitchhiking. So that's what was done for the first half. Again, I didn't see the show, but a friend of mine saw it and loved it. And then the second half with the pros and cons of hitchhiking. So there you go. So there's Roger Waters, pros and cons of hitchhiking. Radio Chaos, I have this on CD. I've enjoyed this album. It hasn't worn well over the years. It does have some 80s trappings, but I thought at the time, I thought this was generally a pretty good album, Radio Chaos. What I think is Roger Waters' actually best album is Amused to Death. Features great guitar work from Jeff Beck on this. Now, this configuration may look a little odd. This was part of the Master Sound series from Sony Columbia, where they put this out celebrating, at the time, the 10th anniversary of the compact disc. unusual packaging for this, sort of almost in a long box, and then if the the inner sleeve or whatever would just be kind of fixed in here, and then you wouldn't get an extra booklet for the CD. It'd just be housed in like this, and then you pop it out, and then the back has the information, but yeah, pretty much just like that. But overall, I really do enjoy this album. I think this is actually Roger's best, and actually a really good sound with this master sound. Miles Davis, I know they did one, and Billy Joel, I think, and Boston, to name a few. So there you have that. And then, of course, Roger Waters live stuff. We've got Roger Waters doing The Wall live in Berlin. This is when the Berlin Wall came down, so this was from Saturday, the 21st of July, 1990. I remember hearing the actual radio broadcast of the live event at the time, and this features quite the all-star cast. And I think they've changed the cover of this over the years, and also with Roger Waters Amused to Death, I know they've changed the cover of this as well, so interesting. And another version of Roger Waters' The Wall, this one a fairly recent one from 2015. This was also released on DVD and Blu-ray, but his immensely successful tour for The Wall. And more live stuff. We've got Roger Waters in the Flesh. This is a nice overview of Pink Floyd stuff and Roger Waters stuff. I have certainly enjoyed this over the years. Double disc set, Roger Waters in the Flesh. And then we have Roger Waters' last studio album, Is This the Life We Really Want? I haven't really connected with this. I'm going to have to listen to this a few more times. I know there's many in the VC that have really enjoyed it. And yeah, but I just haven't, for whatever reason, I haven't really connected with this one, but I'm going to have to give it a few more spins. Okay, let's move on to David Gilmour. Okay, so right off the top, let me just move some things over here. Got things all over the place here, sorry about that. So let's kick it off with David Gilmour's first solo album, simply titled David Gilmour. Really nice album overall. This came out in 1978, so he was still part of Pink Floyd at this time. And yeah, overall, it's a really nice album, and I do have it on vinyl as well. And nice gatefold on this one. And this is, again, for vinyl, like this was an early issue of the CD. So you got that, and then you don't, and then typical of the early stuff, that's all you get. But again, if you picked up the vinyl, you've got that, nice gatefold, pictures, that sort of thing. Much better. And on like that. Okay, so David Gilmour's first solo album. Then we have David Gilmour, About Face. Some people don't like this album. I think overall it's quite a good album. Yeah, I mean, Blue Light, it does have some 80s trappings to it, but the song Murder, also Out of the Blue, All Lovers Are Deranged, Cruise, I think it's, overall, it's a good album. And also on vinyl I have as well. Yeah, no gatefold for this one. But there's that and that. And on Columbia. Okay, and then there's more David Gilmour to come, because we also have David Gilmour's On an Island. Now this is a very mellow album, and I found it a little harder to get into this album. It's worn well over the years, but this is really a mellow album. I did like the CD presentation, although the CD always pops out because it's one of those things where you just stick it on that, so good luck keeping it on that, but overall, nice presentation with the CD, other than the CD doesn't hold very well. And then we've got David Gilmour Live in Gdansk, double CD. I think this is also available as like a CD, DVD, or CD Blu-ray sort of thing, but overall, this is a great live album. And he performs this with Richard Wright, also performing Echoes, which is absolutely amazing. And really a great disc. Overall, highly recommended. And then we also have more live stuff with David Gilmour live at Pompeii. And this was his amazing actual concert performance at Pompeii. Of course, you'll remember Pink Floyd did perform at Pompeii, but it wasn't actually a concert with an audience. It was more for the film, that sort of thing. But this was before an audience, an actual concert at Pompeii. And again, just another amazing live disc. Great selection. And I did pick up the box set of that without getting into too much detail. It's got some nice little posters inside for this. So we've got, well, actually we have an amphitheater at Pompeii, an interview with historian Mary Beer. It's just a little booklet that's included. The actual nice little posters included for this. Boom, and that. And then we have another little bunch of postcards, which David Gilmour does seem to like his nice big postcards. So we've got that, and that, and just on the back like that, that, and that. So that is very cool. Okay, and it's got the typical, booklet included, and then the discs are housed just inside like that. And this one includes the Blu-ray for that package. Okay, so there's that. And then one more to go for David Gilmour, his last studio album called Rattle That Lock. Overall, I really do enjoy this album. I think this is a good album. Just his guitar playing alone, especially on the song 5 a.m. that opens up the album, is absolutely beautiful. Rattle That Lock, when I first heard it, I didn't really care for it, but it's actually worn well, at least with me. At first I was like, what is this? But then I thought, I kind of like it. Overall, so this is the sort of the little deluxe box. Opens out like this and gives you a nice little David Gilmour pick, which is kind of cool. And again, more little posters and things like that. So we've got that and that. And then we've got postcards in a little envelope here. And we've got that. And then slightly different for this is that they include the lyrics and whatnot in a nice hard book like that, David Gilmour, Rattle That Lock, with lots of pictures and things like that, nice little booklet. But then they also include Paradise Lost by John Milton, Book 2, because some of the ideas behind the album were based on Paradise Lost, but they include, the text from Paradise Lost, which I wasn't quite expecting, and some interesting artwork there as well. So there you have that. Okay, let's not forget, of course, Nick Mason. And this is the only Nick Mason I have, but this is a nice place to start. Released just a couple years ago. This is 3 of Nick Mason's albums, Fictitious Sports Profiles and White of the Eye. Now, why they didn't release Nick Mason's 4th album, because I believe it was on the same label, I don't know why, but Fictitious Sports, the first album, is really amazing, and it features the vocals from Robert Wyatt from Soft Machine. This is, when you're thinking of Nick Mason's solo album, this is totally different. This is playful, it's fun, horns. It's got some of that 80s kind of feel to it, but it's a nice up album and really different. I may have to pick this up on vinyl. Overall, I just really enjoyed it. And all the music is written by an individual. Her name, Carla Bley. She also plays keyboards on here, and I understand she's like a jazz musician, but it's not, I wouldn't say particularly jazzy, but it's really interesting album for Nick Mason. The other 2 albums where he works with Rick Fenn from 10cc are a little bit more what you may expect, sort of more instrumental, a little bit more atmospheric, if you will. Very simple CD box set. I was expecting maybe a little bit more from this. There's no booklet or anything like that included. I would have thought it'd be nice to have included maybe a little bit more on that. And so that's what I have from Nick Mason. Certainly looking forward to A Saucer Full of Secrets. And last but not least, we'll give it up for Richard Wright. This is the only Richard Wright that I have. The album Wet Dream. And overall, a nice album. Nice album overall. And a nice gatefold on this one. And he is certainly missed, Richard Wright, his incredible keyboard. Okay, and that's what I have from my Pink Floyd collection from Part 1 and Part 2. Obviously, my collection's not complete. I don't have Roger Waters' opera, or of course, I don't have any Syd Barrett solo stuff other than that one. So my collection is far but complete, but I hope you did enjoy it. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll chat again. Bye-bye.